posted in a while, so it's gonna be a bit hard, isn't it? Okay, you ready? I actually just wanted to let you know this video was recorded coming up to 3 months ago. I have a 5-month-old. Why was Robyn only 2 months in this video? Where is that time gone? I mean, look at her now in her sleeping bag, but what is going on? I just haven't got around to editing it. Oh man. Okay, so this is the long awaited overdue birth story that I was supposed to post 3 months ago, coming up to 3 months ago, but that obviously hasn't happened, so I thought now is the best time to do it. So I would like to formally introduce you to my daughter, Robyn August Harvey, who was born on the 8th of July 2023 at 3:20 in the morning. It was a long 11-hour labour. I say that's long, for most people it's not, but the journey to have her was so difficult. It wasn't easy. It was so hard. She weighed 7 pounds 8. You ready to start the story of how you came into this world? Yeah. So on the 23rd of June 2023, I started having no movements. I couldn't think of the word then. I had reduced fetal movements, like I've spoken about on my channel before, and that just means when baby isn't moving to their normal patterns or not even moving at all. So if that happens, definitely I'll get it checked out in case it's more severe than not. Even if baby's fine, it's better to go get it checked out anyway, isn't it? Because you were so difficult. Yeah, smiles. But yeah, so I went to go get that checked out and they said, it looks like you're contracting. I was 38 weeks almost at this point, 37 plus 6. It's basically 38 weeks pregnant. And I was like, well, I haven't got nothing ready at home. I'm not ready to have this baby yet. Didn't even have my hospital bag fully packed. Didn't even have any snacks packed. Snacks are key, by the way, just getting that out there right now. But yeah, and then they were like, actually they're slowing down, you can go home. And I was like, all right, telling me I'm getting induced to have a baby, but now you're saying, no, you're going home. Don't want you here, we're going home. And I was devastated. I was crying because they promised me that I was having a baby that day, pretty much. They were like, look, you're getting induced, you're having a baby. And I was like, bawling my eyes out, crying that I ended up going home because you didn't want to come again. No, it's happened 3 times so far. Okay, so now we're going to the next day after I'd been sent home from the hospital, which is the 24th of June. So that is the day that I moved into this house. 38 weeks pregnant, moving houses with 5 other people, 6 including your boyfriend, whilst pregnant isn't easy. I can tell you that now, because the first 2 days are really, really hard. No Wi-Fi. You need Wi-Fi for everything, let's be real. And just generally difficult. But that weekend went, and now we're on Monday the 26th of June. So I was posting on TikTok. You might be able to see those videos. I was wearing a black top, if anyone wants to know. Yeah, then that day, it was one of the harder days, I'd say. I started contracting and I was like, okay, I'm gonna see how things go. And then my mum was like, okay, because I was calling her crying on the phone because they needed to go to the tip to do tip runs for obviously all the boxes that we had to move, my brother and my mum. And then she was like, okay, hold off, we're gonna see how things go. And she's like, try and get some sleep. So at 1:30 on the 26th of June, I had gone upstairs to go to sleep. And then an hour later, I woke up in even more pain. And these were coming in consistent, fast, whatever. So I was on the phone to my student midwife and we were saying that I'm in pain, I'm contracting, and my midwife was like, okay, start timing them. And I was like, okay, I will. And then we was on the phone to the hospital as well. Yeah, they said, look, you can't go to this hospital, which is close to this house, because you're not registered under them. So you've got to go to the further hospital, which is about, I don't know, 40-minute, half an hour drive, depending on traffic. I was like, great. So we started going over to the hospital because these pains were coming a lot worse. I couldn't walk at some point. We were stuck in traffic because temporary traffic lights are annoying, especially when I was contracting. contracting. So we got to the hospital, we met my student midwife there. I'd had my checks. I was only 1 centimetre dilated. Do you know how embarrassing that was? I couldn't even handle 1 centimetre, let's be honest. And on my birth plan, I wanted a water birth with only gas and air. Things don't go to plan, does it? So we're like, okay, go home. If they get worse, come back. If they don't, stay at home. No point coming in for nothing. Actually, no. Even on that day, they promised me another induction. That never happened. They're like, maybe we can induce you. It didn't happen. So that week went by. Now, getting into the house, moving in, unpacking, you know, just simple things. Me and Charlie constantly going out on walks, me eating pineapple, me eating spicy curry, me bouncing on my ball, doing everything that I possibly could to get Robyn out. Did that work, Robyn? Did you want to come out? Can you say, no, I wanted to stay in your tummy forever? Yeah. I had a consultant appointment booked for the 4th of July, which is Robyn's dad's birthday, Charlie's birthday. He really wanted her to be born for his birthday. Like most people probably would want to share a birthday with their baby. Charlie was at school. Obviously it was his birthday. He was at school as well. I was at home getting ready for this appointment. And for this consultant appointment, it was just like a normal doctor appointment that you'd go to for like checkups, check baby, like have a little bedside scan quick and see if everything was going well, which it was. And I turned up to the appointment and they were like, okay, we're just going to do a cervical check because you had one not long ago. See if you dilated anymore. They were looking at my records and they were like, maybe we can put you in for an induction. Would you like an induction? And I was like, what? No way. And I wasn't really getting my hopes up because I've been turned down too many times for an induction. And they were like, we don't really want you going past 40 weeks. The chances of having a C-section with induction are quite high because it's not you naturally going into labour, it's like getting forced into labour. I wasn't getting my hopes up for this induction. So I was just really getting on my day, to be honest. Getting on with the appointment. And they were like, we're going to go speak to the head doctor to see what they recommend. So this senior consultant went to go see the head doctor. And the head doctor was like, put her in for an induction. Things are getting real now. So I knew the next time I'd be entering that hospital, I would not be leaving without having my baby. So in this appointment, they were like, okay, we're going to do a cervical check. And I had a sweep as well. Sweeps are terrible. Do not get one unless you have to have one. I hated it. Worst experience in my life. Painful, excruciating. I'm a wimp. Pretty much. Simplest way to put it. With the sweep, you do bleed for about a day after. I was panicking because it was like quite a lot of blood, but they were like, if it was too much, you do have to rush back to hospital, but it wasn't too much. I'm just a drama queen. Yeah, then after my sweep and the appointment had finished, I was sent over to the MDU, which is the maternity day unit, where they do checks on you and baby. They want to check if everything's good with you, and obviously baby's heart rate's okay, baby's movements are good, and if they are, you go home. After this appointment, well, the checkup, they made me sit in the waiting room and they were like, you're gonna get seen by a doctor. There was no point in getting seen by a doctor, so I got sent home anyway. And they were like, give us a call at 6:30 in the morning to see if there's a bed ready for you. So that night I'd gone home, had McDonald's for Charlie's birthday dinner, great dinner, tell me about it. And I got all my chest straws ready with all Robyn's clothes in it. Labelled them, everything, but it's not like that now because that's my old chest straws. These are my new ones to match my Alex straws over there. I went to bed about 12:30 after get everything ready. I say I went to bed, I didn't go to bed at all. I was up all night pretty much, didn't sleep, I was too excited. Like most people would be, you know. And then I woke up at 6:30 for my mum to call the hospital because Charlie was still asleep. And they were like, no bed's ready. Of course I wasn't, because it's just my luck. So my mum was like, go back to bed, try sleep, because you haven't slept all night. I was like, no. I said, I need to film my hospital bag video. So that day that I uploaded and posted it, I edited it, posted it and uploaded it on the same day. It was supposed to be uploaded on the 5th of July, but it didn't work because I thought I'd uploaded it at home, but it didn't even upload in the hospital when I got there. So it was a little bit overdue, that one, you know. It was edited and recorded on the 5th of July because I had nothing else to do. And then at 10:30 I was like, okay, maybe I should go to bed. And then I was like, no. And then it got to about 11:30 and I was like, okay, I should go to bed now. So I was woken up at 12:30. My mum saying, come on, we're going to the hospital. And I was like, what now? They said, call back at 2:30. So we were on our way to the hospital because they said they had a bed ready. I'd got there, had my checks, no bed ready. They lied. Told me they had a bed, no bed. And there were also 3 other people waiting for this induction, right? Me plus 3 others, that's 4 people waiting for this induction. So we had lunch at Costa in the hospital, and then for lunch I'd ordered Sainsbury's to the hospital. Yeah, Sainsbury's, we had a meal deal for our dinner, so what? But the second we'd got our meal deals, there's a bed ready. We'd gone to this ward and I was hooked up to the monitor whilst eating my dinner. And there's 3 lovely midwife I met. She was so nice. And she did eventually get to meet Robyn. They said, okay, we're moving you to another ward because this was just a spare ward, so you had a bed. So eventually I got moved to the other ward, and I hated this ward so much, right? Every time the doctor would come and see me saying, oh yeah, you've got updates, this is happening. This woman next to me she was silent until a nurse or a doctor came in and she would scream. I don't know, might have been real, might have been fake. It would just seem a bit dodgy, you know. Every time a midwife or a doctor would walk in, she'd scream. The second they'd leave, silence. They could be gone for hours and it was silence. The second they walked in, for 2 minutes, screaming, you know. So on the 5th of July, I was getting told I would be having the Cook's balloon as I was 2 centimetres dilated, according to the lady who done my cervical check on the 4th of July. On the 6th of July at 12:10 in the morning, I was getting ready for my Cook's balloon, which is just like a water balloon that gets inserted. It releases these hormones as well to help get labour going. When they checked me, they were like, you're not 2 centimetres, you're barely 1. No, you're barely 1, maybe 1.5. And I was like, great, what is going on? Why is this happening to me? But I just got it inserted anyway. It's a bit uncomfortable, not too bad. And then I just walked back to the ward of these 3 string things hanging out at me. It was really uncomfortable, I'm going to be honest. The string things anyway, it was like these plastic strings. I don't really know. Gone back to the ward and they left me for 12 hours to see if I'd contract. In those 12 hours, so I woke up about 7 in the morning. I went for walks around the hospital, walked up and down the stairs, pretty much walked around the hospital, got breakfast as well. After I'd done all that, I'd gone back and it was about 12:10 in the afternoon, which is 12 hours after I had it inserted, which means I could have got it taken out. And because it was time to get it taken out, that meant something would have happened, right? I would have dilated or something. They took it out. This lovely, lovely Asian midwife took it out and she checked me. And she was like, you're not dilated at all. And I was like, oh my God. And I started crying. Because I'd been messed around for all of these hours that I've been in the hospital, and now I've been told I'm not dilated at all. 2 days ago, I was told I was 2 centimetres, now I'm 0. Big fat 0. You know, why wouldn't you be upset? She said, I'll leave you for 9 more hours and we'll come and check you, otherwise you're getting a pessary, which is like a tampon thing, about that big, which gets inserted and releases hormones and takes 24 hours to be effective or so. Sometimes less, sometimes it's even more than that. Throughout the 6th of July, I was eating my dinner and breakfast and lunch as normal, but I was starting to contract on my own without having any sort of, like, what's the word? Inventment? I don't know. Any intervention, that's the word. The midwife kept coming into me saying, looks like you're contracting, they're starting to come and go, they're quite regular, quite not regular, quite irregular. Again, loads of different miscommunication to me and to each other with the doctors and staff themselves. As I was saying, 9 PM rolled around and they said this is going to be the final check, and if you're not dilated, you're having the pessary. Luckily, I was 2 centimetres dilated all on my own without any intervention, because that bloody balloon thing didn't work for me. There was only like a 20% chance it'd fail, and I was part of that 20% chance, wasn't I? Okay, she's on my lap, that's why there's a foot. Yeah, so I was 2 centimetres dilated. So on the 7th of July, they said I was going to get my waters broken to Get this baby out. So on the 7th of July, the midwives done their rounds in the morning, and they came to me and said, we're going to have a quick scan, make sure baby's in the correct position, make sure everything's going okay. And this midwife, the senior consultant that came round, who was at my midwife consultant appointment on the 4th, was there on the 7th. And was the person who delivered Robyn. If she keeps looking at herself, it'll make her happy. But she's refusing to open her eyes, so she's going to be grumpy and cry. It's just how babies work. It's just how babies work. Yeah, so I'd gone in for my consultant appointment with this consultant who came around to see me on the 7th and done the scan, said everything's okay and you are going to be going for this baby. And I was on my own at this point. My mum wasn't there and Charlie had gone home because he wasn't feeling too well. And then I messaged everyone. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting my waters broken today. Oh my God, it's happening. It's all getting real now. My mum came to have lunch with me. I had a Caesar salad. That was the last meal I had before having Robyn. I had chicken Caesar salad from the hospital. It was disgusting. I ate it anyway though, because there's nothing else that I wanted. And then at 2 p.m, the lovely, lovely midwife who I had on the 5th of July came round and said, you were first on the list and now you're off to have your baby. The emotions I felt in that moment, oh my God. I had a shower, right? So I was waiting for my hair to air dry because I didn't want to have a hairdryer on in the ward. But I was straightening my hair, and the second I'd finished, I was bouncing on my ball, and the midwife came in and was like, I've been watching you bouncing on that ball for ages. And I was like, I know, I'm trying to get this baby out. Also, when you dilate, it doesn't mean you contract, by the way. I didn't feel anything. Even though those contractions I was having on the 6th, I didn't feel them. But you know, it's different for every person. I just wanted to add that in. Bit of a disclaimer. As I was saying, she was watching me bounce on the ball for about an hour after I straightened my hair, and then she'd come in at 2 p.m. and said, you're going for your baby. And off me I went to the labour ward with my suitcase and my stitch bag and my pillows and my blankets, and we were given a room. This room was where Robyn was supposed to be born. It wasn't the best room, but it was a room, right? So at 3 p.m, I was hooked onto the monitor and they saw I was having semi-regular contractions, but also not regular. They started to hurt on the 7th in the morning, and then they started picking up a bit where the pain was getting not bad, not great, just there, quite an annoying hindrance kind of pain. So once I was on this monitor, they said, okay, when the student midwife gets here, and when your boyfriend gets here, that is when labour's going to start. This is when they were going to get a little like needle, like a hook, and that's when they rip your waters. And yeah, so Charlie got there about 3:30. My midwife got there about 4:10. My waters got broken at 4 because we wanted to get it done as soon as possible, but she couldn't make it for that. I think she got there just as they were breaking. So my waters were broken at 4 p.m. on the 7th of July. Waters breaking is just you weeing yourself and you can't control it. It just comes out and comes out and comes out. I was so embarrassed. I can't even tell you. It was terrible, so bad, and it's just, I don't really know. These contractions were coming in thick, fast, and hurting so bad. Bearing in mind this labour, I wanted a water birth and I wanted just gas and air. Just keep that in mind. So I got to 3 centimetres because when I first had my water broken I was only 2 or 3, I don't actually remember, maybe it was 3. They said next time you go to the toilet you are going to take this bowl with you and you're going to wee into the bowl. I don't know why that was. I think it was to check the colour of my waters or something along them lines. But I'd gone to the toilet, I'd had to leave the door unlocked in case something had happened. Something did happen the second time I went to the toilet. So I came back from my wee, got back onto the bed, and I was in pain. I was screaming, and then I was like, I need gas in air. So I got to 3.5 centimetres, 4 centimetres. I like to say 4, but it's probably only 3, with no pain relief because I'm a wimp. So about 5 o'clock, I started using the gas and air. And then I thought I need to go to the toilet. So I went to the toilet. Again, it was the wee into the cup thing. And then I collapsed to the floor. And then Charlie and my student midwife came running in to take me back to the bed. Yeah, that's when I was screaming in pain. I was like, I can't do it. And everyone was like, you can do it. It's one of them things. Like, I can't do it. You can do it. Yeah, you can. Blah, blah, blah. And I have messages with my dad being high off my head. My poor dad. Oh, I'm pretty sure I messaged him saying, I feel like I'm high as a balloon. I'm going to try and insert these messages. That'll be quite funny, to be honest. But then I got checked again and I was still 3 centimetres. Oh, well, yeah, I would have been 3 centimetres then. And then I said, I need a C-section. I can't do this. And my student midwife came over to me and was like, Leah, listen, I've had a C-section. You don't want one. I was like, I do. I can't do this. I was so horrible to her, but I love her so much. I'm supposed to be seeing her soon, actually. I don't really know when that is. I was like, my mum didn't want me to get an epidural. Nothing against them. She just personally didn't want me having one. And I was like, Mum, I'm sorry. I need an epidural. I can't do it anymore. And she was like, okay, look, that's fine. If that's what's going to get you through it, you can have one. So the anaesthetist came in and he was trying to speak to me and I was blanking him. I was ignoring him the whole time. And my mum was giving consent for me, just agreeing or whatever. And whilst I was getting the spinal block, you have to use the gas and air. You have to like sit forward. I haven't got any pictures. I don't think anyone took a picture of me with it, but you have to sit forward on the edge of the bed. And I had, I think, Charlie giving me a cold towel. And at this point I said, I feel like I'm going to be sick. I think I was sick while I was getting the epidural. I don't actually remember. He said, okay, you're all done now, so give it about 20 minutes to kick in. So he said, I'm going now, and I yelled bye. That's the only thing I said to him. I yelled bye for him to leave my room. And he came back in about 40 minutes later, and I was sitting there eating a pack of Costa creams. I don't think I've eaten since 12 o'clock that day, and now we're going into 7 o'clock, so I had the epidural about 6:30. I was checked again and I was still 3 centimetres. I wasn't dilating, and there were talks about me going for a C-section because it's been a while. I'm having loads of intervention. It could cause sepsis with all the checks I was having, and they said, okay, you might be going for a C-section. It was about an hour and a half after my epidural, but it didn't work. It failed. And then they called another anaesthetist in after they was in theatre with someone else, came into me and was like, we're going to give you another one. Didn't even check how dilated I was, by the way. They'd given me another one and it didn't work at all. And they said to Charlie, look, you have to get some scrubs on, because that was it. I was going for a C-section, right? Charlie got into his scrubs, and my senior consultant, who I had on the 4th of July, came in and checked me and was like, when was you last checked? I was checked about 11 o'clock and I was still 3 centimetres from the 4 p.m. that day. My mum turned around and said she was last checked about 1 a.m. and she was still 3 centimetres. Something around that time anyway. And I was at 4 p.m. on the 7th of July, I was still 3 centimetres. So in that time I was still 3 centimetres. And then the senior consultant checked me and was like, that surely can't be right because she's fully dilated, she's 10 centimetres. So in an hour I went from 3 to 10, pretty much. That was about 2 a.m. I was checked. They were like, you need to start pushing. And I was like, no, C-section, I want one now. And they were like, Leah, if you're going to have one, neither of you are really going to make it. It's going to be way too high risk for you both to survive this C-section. And I was like, I can't do it. I refused to have gas and air. Gas and air was making me sick. I was sick about twice during these 10 hours. In those 10 hours, I threw up twice. And I was like, I can't do that again. I don't like being sick. Don't want to be sick again. I carried on, really. And then they said, okay, you need to start pushing. I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then they were like, you can do it. So I had to lay onto my side and they said, start pushing. As I was pushing, Miss Robyn's heart rate was dropping to 30, 40 for minutes at a time. And these alarms were going off. Someone was pressing those alarms. They were like, Leah, we're not trying to panic you, but Robyn's heart rate is dropping, because I knew her name was Robyn. I was like, they were like, her heart rate is dropping quite low, so we're going to leave you a bit longer and then we're going to rush the theatre, okay? I was like, okay. I didn't let it bother me, I'm going to be honest. They were pressed again, they were pressed 3 times and no one was coming in. So they pressed for the 3rd time, everyone started running in because it was like, okay, this is getting serious now. Charlie was still in his scrubs. My mum was going to come with me, but I chose Charlie because he was my first birth partner, my mum was my second. As I was about to get wheeled out, no one was unclipping my bed from the wall, so I was stuck to the wall with these alarms going off, with her heart rate still being at 30. No one was unattaching me from these monitors, by the way. I was stuck to the monitor. How does that make any sense? No one was really doing a great job, to be honest. I was then sick over the anaesthetist before I went out the room. And then they were running my bed all the way to theatre, and then my mum was crying and Charlie was like, what do I do? My mum was like, go with her, don't just leave her. So Charlie was running behind us, and then I got to theatre and they were like, okay, we're going to have an emergency forceps delivery, and if this doesn't work, you're having a C-section. This C-section will be super high risk and we don't know what the outcome will be. Pretty much their words word for word. When I was in theatre, I was given a sedation mask, and they were putting things through my back, they were putting things through my cannula that I had in my arm. They gave me loads and loads of medication to make me high. And I didn't feel a thing, and I was in a world of my own. You know, diamorphine, great stuff, honestly. Charlie was sitting next to me, but behind me, because he wasn't allowed to obviously be at the front, because there was about, I don't know, 14 doctors in the room with me. It was terrifying, to be honest. And I had one midwife on my right side and one on my left. And these midwives were so lovely. I had one on my right and she was holding my hand the whole way through. One on my left was my student midwife. They were just, come on, you can do this. We can get through this. What happened was they had to do a episiotomy. An episiotomy is where they have to do a tear. Mine was a massive tear, like a massive cut they had to make. And I obviously didn't feel it. It is what it is to have my beautiful baby. It was coming about 3:10 in the morning now, and they said, okay, you're gonna have to start pushing. I can't feel the sensation of the pushing. I don't feel like being born. So they were like, you need to start pushing. So they were pulling and I was pushing and nothing was working. We had to just keep going, and they kept going, and then they said, okay, the baby's head's out, and I was like, they were like, one more push, she's here. So I was like, I don't wanna. And they're like, come on, you need to do this last bit. So at 3:20, Robyn was born with the world's biggest scream, because like I said in my previous videos, I said that Robyn at 30 weeks pregnant, I was given some steroids to make her lungs stronger. Her lungs worked good, really well. Put her on my chest for about 30 seconds and they were like, we need to take her off you now because we need to check her oxygen and everything like that. So Charlie and Robyn went into the other room whilst I was stuck in the theatre room. So Charlie was there for the cord cutting. I didn't see any of that. Charlie was there for the birth weight. Again, I didn't see any of that. Yeah, the midwives came back in and said, you've got a very healthy baby girl. She's all okay. Her and Charlie are going to be going to the recovery room to meet you there. I met them about 45 minutes later. I was wheeled into the recovery room where I met my mum, my student midwife, and Charlie and Robyn. Then they put Robyn on my chest and was like, you have only about 90 minutes to feed her. And I was like, I don't even know how to feed her. And then they were like, you're high risk of sepsis. You got to have blood thinners because obviously the birth was high risk and stuff like that. Because throughout my pregnancy, I was medium risk because of my age, and then I shot up to high risk with that birth. I was in the recovery room for about 3 hours, then I was moved to another room on my own where I stayed from about 6 a.m. until, I don't really know what it was, maybe 3 p.m. I went in that room where my dad came up and met Robyn, and Charlie's parents came up and met Robyn, and it was so emotional. It was like, I don't know, I don't really know how to explain it. But in that meantime, I wasn't allowed to get up and walk because I had the epidural and I couldn't walk for about 10 hours. Was stuck to the bed. I couldn't pick up Robyn, couldn't hold Robyn. If I wanted to, I'd have to ask Charlie to pass her to me to feed her and stuff. Charlie had to do all the changes, all the dressing, and he was amazing. I couldn't have asked him to do better, really. Moving on, and we are now getting moved to a private room in the hospital on the maternity ward. So I've gone from labour ward back to the maternity ward, just a normal ward. There was TV in there was an ensuite toilet, on my own one, not a shared one. Obviously a bed and a recliner chair for Charlie, which he didn't recline at all, he just slept sitting up really, and Robyn's little cot. My parents went home, Charlie's parents came up again, and they got us McDonald's for dinner. It was very, very nice, and then they went after we'd eaten. On the 9th of July, this is when things started to go downhill. Robyn had her head to toe check at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, so she should have been almost 36 hours old. They said everything was fine, and then they got to the jaundice side of things. They done her jaundice check and they were like, her readings are quite high. And then they were like, okay, we're gonna leave you and we're gonna come back in about 12 hours time, so at 12 o'clock at night, to do a blood spot test. If we come back, it's bad news. If we don't come back, good news. So at 12 o'clock in the morning, on the 10th of July, they done her blood spot test. They said, okay, if we come back, bad. If we don't come back, good. 10 minutes later, they came back and were like, we're gonna have to go for phototherapy. So phototherapy is when babies have extreme high levels of jaundice, and they need to get put under the lamp for a certain amount of hours. Robyn was under there for 11 hours, and it was the longest and worst 11 hours of my life, really. Charlie slept. I was sitting next to the bed with Robyn. She was only allowed in a nappy and had these sunglasses on to do their liver, and she was screaming. The only time I was allowed to pick her up was no longer than 10 minutes and only for a feed. Then at, I don't know, 10 a.m. on the 10th of July, they came round and done another blood spot test, and they said, we'll come back and let you know the results. So they came back and they said jaundice levels have dropped, so that's good. They're still not great, so keep her out of the sunlight because she was more sensitive than what she should have been. Yeah, that was really it. And then they were teaching me how to breastfeed on the 10th, and everything was just, I kept asking to go home, they wouldn't let me go home. I hated staying there. I was there from the Wednesday, and now we're on Monday. Yeah, they teach me how to breastfeed, and then they came back around again, so we'll do one more blood spot test, and then that's it. So they done her blood spot test, and they said, okay, levels still the same, they're creeping back up a bit, just keep an eye on it. And then they done her hearing test, which she passed. On the 11th of July, we went home at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Very late time to leave the hospital, to be honest, or in my opinion anyway. And then we got home for about 3, 4, and everyone met her. My brothers and my sister met her. On the 12th of July, the midwife came around to visit, because that was supposed to be like the 5-day, oh no, the day after you come home, then there's always a midwife that comes out. This was just a normal checkup, and then they said they'd send out a jaundice specialist for the next day. And they said if her jaundice levels have increased, because she does look quite yellow, then you have to have your own at-home lamp, like jaundice lamp. And then the jaundice specialist came over on the 13th, and everything was fine. There was no problems with her at all. Well, obviously her level's still high, but not high enough to need phototherapy. And one last update on the phototherapy. On the 31st of July, Robyn had to go to a certain hospital, which I'm not going to name, obviously. She had her weight done, and then she had like a laser thing to check jaundice levels, and they were like, it's supposed to be at like 50. She's at 150. And I was like, oh, that's a bit over what you wanted. So I said, okay, we'll do another blood spot test, and we're gonna call you back tomorrow for the results. So on the 1st of August, I got the phone call. She was clear of jaundice, everything went well, and now she is normal. You wouldn't even know she had jaundice. But that's it for my birth story. I'll give you a couple of updates on Robyn at the moment. She is now 11 weeks old, coming up to 3 months and 12 weeks. Well, 3 months in like 2 weeks time. She's 12 weeks old on Saturday, and she is very alert. She is holding her head up. Yeah, she's holding her head up very well. She is wanting to look around more. She's enjoying everything. She wants attention all of the time. She can't stay focused on one task for a long time. But yeah, she is always hungry. But with the hungriness, I lasted 10.5 weeks of breastfeeding, and now she is solely on formula. People can come at me for that, but I think I've done a pretty good job for doing 10.5 weeks solely breastfeeding. But yeah, that's it. If you have any other video suggestions for me, comment them down below, and I will see you as soon as possible. I'm gonna get back on this YouTube stuff now because I enjoyed speaking today. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you stay till the end, and I will see you again at some point. I don't know when that is, but this is Sleepy Robyn. Oh, we will see you again another time. Bye.
Down, yeah. I've been feeling so